Hey, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name's Christina Kent and I'm an artist based out of San Francisco. And today I wanted to have some sort of real talk about what it's like being a full-time artist. And I think this video might be helpful if you're considering making the leap to go full-time, or you're just trying to figure out if the artist career path is a career path for you. And of course, I should emphasize that everything that I'm saying is based on my personal experience as an artist, as someone in the fine art world who does painting, there's lots of different types of artists too, and you probably hear something very different if you talk to an illustrator or a photographer, etc. And as a quick note, this video isn't sponsored by anyone, but if you want to support my work, you can check out my paintings on my website, you can like, comment, subscribe to this channel, or you can join my Patreon. All of these things really help. But yeah, so I wanted to share some of my experience about being an artist because the pros are, amazing. You get to paint in the studio all day, you get to go to museums, you get to go to art fairs, you get to chat with other artists, see lots of beautiful work, take painting workshops, grow your skills, all of this, absolutely amazing. I also have a lot of autonomy with my schedule, so I get to plan when I'm going to the studio, how much I'm painting each day, what other things I fill my schedule with, and that part I absolutely love. There's no one I need to get approval for PTO, and on days when I'm feeling really energized, I can work super, super late. On days when I'm feeling really tired, I can take it easy and work a little bit less. I also get to have control over the artwork that I create, so I can basically follow whatever sort of idea is inspiring or exciting to me and pursue that as far as I want to go. And all of these things are amazing, and they're what makes being an artist so attractive. And I think it was Mark Manson who brought up this point, it's not good enough, if you're trying to consider a career, it's not good enough to just look at the good parts of it, but you have to look at sort of some of the drawbacks as well. For example, a lot of people like the idea of being a successful musician, being really good at an instrument, playing to huge crowds, and making albums that everyone loves. But although people might like these parts about being a musician, it also involves a lot of hours and hours of practice, days, months, weeks of traveling, negotiating with labels, etc. And those things are a lot less fun. Or for me, for example, I thought I wanted to do a career in economics because I really loved reading these interesting economic studies and learning about the research. However, when I actually started pursuing it as a career, I realized there were a lot of things I didn't like data cleaning, coding analyses, or writing long papers in an academic style. So what about art? What are the things about being a full-time artist that might be perceived as cons? First, I spend a lot of time by myself in the studio, and I think this can be a pro or a con. Some people really like solitude and the focus that that creates. For me, I absolutely love it, but other people will feel really lonely if they're in that same situation. And in that sense, they might want a career that involves more regular interaction with other people rather than just hours and hours spent in the studio. Another thing that I find a little difficult is that art is very subjective, and so it's very hard to know if what you've done is good or not. It's not like you build a bridge and then it either works or it doesn't. No, with a painting, oftentimes it's just very confusing as to whether or not, did I make a good painting? Is my work improving? Which direction should I go? There's no one who can really give you a definitive answer on these things because they're subjective. So I think as an artist, it's very important to be comfortable with this feeling of doubt and also to understand that you're not going to get external approval for most of what you're doing. You really need to have sort of your own inner compass to help you, to help steer the way for your art. Another important thing about being a full-time artist is that you really need lots of practice and discipline. I think there's just no way to improve your art and make art that you really enjoy if you're not constantly practicing, constantly pushing out of your comfort zone and trying to grow. And I think that can make it really rewarding, but it's also hard to engage in this deliberative practice on a regular basis. Another really big factor that I deal with a lot is rejection. I get rejected all the time as a working artist. So I am applying to shows, I'm applying to grants, I'm applying to residencies, awards. I reach out to collectors to see if a painting will sell or to try to get a commission. And so that means that at least once a week, it seems like I'm getting rejected from something. And for a lot of people, this can be really hard, especially when it's your art. I mean, my art is like my babies. I just feel so connected to it, and it can really sting when you're getting so much rejection. So I think if you're interested in being a full-time artist, rejection is something that you just need to accept as part of the job. And if you are scared of rejection, one thing I will say is that it does get easier over time. The first one hurts the most, but with each additional one, you start to realize, okay, this isn't so bad. Now I just take it as part of my job. And then the last thing I'll note is just the uncertainty, the income uncertainty, the lack of job security, the lack of things like benefits and healthcare. It was so nice when I was working a day job and I had this regular paycheck that was coming in. I had health insurance. I had this 401k that I was contributing to. And it seemed like, you know, if I just kept doing what I was supposed to be doing, then I would be financially secure and it was easy to kind of plan things for the long term with that in mind. Once I started pursuing art full time, that basically all went out the window. As an artist who makes most of their income through selling my paintings, I immediately noticed that with painting sales, it can be feast or famine. So usually certain times of the year, I'll have a lot of sales and then I'll go for a few months with very low sales. And so there's just big fluctuations in my income as an artist. And that can be really intimidating if you're used to working a job and getting a regular salary, but it just means that you need to plan out your finances really well and just be very on top of your business. I have to plan for things like paying my quarterly taxes, being able to put money in savings, having a retirement account, having my own healthcare, like all of those things I need to figure out myself. So yeah, if you're a full-time artist, you're going to deal with a lot more income fluctuations than you would if you're working a salaried job. That being said, if you're an independent artist, one of the nice perks is that no one can fire you. If you're working a salaried job, you might always have a little fear in the back of your mind as to whether or not you're going to get laid off, which could happen kind of at any moment. But as an independent artist, I have lots of different clients and lots of galleries that I work with. So even if one client stops working with me or one gallery closes its doors, I still have a lot of other options. So there's a lot of day-to-day or month-to-month uncertainty, but I think there are a lot of ways to manage it as well. Oh, actually, and I forgot one of the biggest things, marketing. As a full-time artist, I spend so much time on marketing. I am on Instagram all the time. I'm on Threads. I have this YouTube channel. I also have an art newsletter that I use to reach out to people. So I am just like always trying to get the word out about what I'm making and what I'm working on. I have had to get used to doing self-promotion, which is something that I don't think comes naturally to anybody. It is something that usually makes people feel so uncomfortable. And it was definitely really hard when I started out to get used to talking about my work and sharing it. So marketing is another huge factor about being an independent artist, and unless you have enough money for a marketing team or a gallery who can do that for you, it's something that you really need to factor in if you want to be a full-time artist, something that you're going to need to spend a lot of time on. So yeah, so those are some of the potential drawbacks of being a full-time artist. I didn't want to make this video to discourage anyone from being a full-time artist. I just kind of wanted to tell it like it is and kind of share these things that I think are important to keep in mind if you're considering going down this route. And of course, this is my experience and it's also kind of based on a lot of other artists that I've seen, but I know it's not the only way. So yeah, if you're an aspiring artist, if you're thinking about doing art full-time, I hope that this video gave you some helpful things to think about. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. Or if you're a full-time artist, I'd love to hear if you have any things to add. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you liked this video. And as always, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for supporting this channel and making these videos happen. If you like my art, if you like my videos, and you want to help me make more, check out my Patreon at the link. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.